One time in 5th grade an old man texted me on Instagram and asked me if I wanted to be his sugar baby, and I had no idea what that was at the time, so I said yes, and then he asked me for my bank details, so I took a picture of my mom's credit card, and then a couple weeks later my mom realized that $300 from her bank money disappeared, so she contacted the police and they found out it was me, and somehow my school found out and I got suspended. DM me some of your stories. One time I was out camping in a forest and there was no toilet, so I had to pee inside a bush, and little did I know there was someone watching me, so I pretended that I was just picking flowers when I realized that they weren't flowers, they were stingy plants, and I got stung and ran off screaming, and then the person who was watching me ran up to me and asked if I was okay, and I said yeah, and then I went off with my day like nothing happened. Also one time, where me and my cousin stayed at my grandma's. She asked me to hump this big ass Peppa Pig toy, so I did it, and then she asked me to hump her, so I did for around 5 minutes, and then my gran walked in and I had to say we were just playing. I was 9, she was 11. Basically I was at my favorite cousin's house and we watched a movie together and a sex scene came on. We accidentally nudged each other and my coochie said butterfly. And the sexual tension was real. I always thought he was cute and I ran to my room and he came in and asked for a hug, and Betty started sniffing my hair and he sneezed and a huge ball of snot came out and he cried. One time a guy called me the N-word in science class, so I obviously told my teacher, who was white, and she asked me what's the N-word. I thought she was joking. She had to be at least 45 and I had to explain, and she didn't even care, so she called the head teacher and they didn't do shit. Red heart. Laughing with tears cat face. When I was 11 I was gay and I had a crush on this boy, and he started saying he liked me, so every day after school we went into the bathroom and snogged Lameo. So when I was 11 I didn't have many friends at school and only had one really close friend. We basically did everything together. We also used to have sleepovers all the time at her house because she had a bigger room than me and her parents were normally always out doing work and stuff. So one night while her parents were gone I'm round her house and we started talking about who we liked, and she said there was this one boy who she really liked, and I spent ages trying to guess who it was but she wouldn't tell me. Then at about 8:30 she said that the boy she liked was going to come round and join our sleepover, and I was excited because I wanted to see who it was, and then our history teacher showed up at her house and they ended up having sex in her bed while I was just sat down confused and I didn't know what to do. After he left and the rest of the sleepover was really awkward. Now me and her don't talk anymore. So one time when I was like 9 I had a friend stay the night and I was laying on the floor and she jumped off the bed onto me and I went forward and got a carpet burn down the right side of my face. The next day at school when people were asking me what happened I told everyone that she had poured nail polish remover on my face and lit me on fire because I was mad at her, and I got questioned by the police and my friend got suspended for 3 weeks. When my mom found out she drove me to the police station and made me tell the police, and the cops made me sit in a holding cell for 20 minutes. I found who my real dad was the other day and found his address and Insta, so I sent him death threats and his family are concerned that he is going to die, but it's just his autistic daughter getting her own back. Sparkles. One time I was at school in class and I didn't think I was in my period and I felt a little bit of stuff come out and I thought it was discharge, so I just squeezed some more out for a laugh until I stood up and looked at my chair that was stained red with my blood. So when I was in 1st grade we had this teacher that everyone fucking loved except for me because she would always get me in trouble. One day she was taking me and this other girl who I didn't really like in from recess to put our lunches away. When we were walking on the sidewalk this bitch decides to start walking in front of me, so I got really mad, so I screamed move and kicked her to the ground and she started crying and bleeding, so I kinda just stood there as the teacher helped her get inside to go to the nurse. After that the teacher started yelling at me and telling me I would fail 2nd grade next year. I got mad again, so when she started walking again I flat tired the back of that bitch's shoe and she fell face first on the concrete. She was unconscious, so I decided to run away back to recess and pretend like nothing happened. The next day at school she came in late and stared at me when she said she had been in the hospital all night. To this day the bitch still has a huge scar on her face from falling. One time I was at a baseball game and I had gum in my mouth and I wanted more, so I picked gum off the floor and ate it and it was good and I DK how I'm not dead. One time I was going to ask my sister if she could drive me to get some food, and when I walked in she was doing inappropriate things with her boyfriend and the guy asked me if I wanted to join. To this day I still haven't told anyone. Ha. My friend came over and she was in the bathroom and she was in there for like 20 minutes and finally she came out and I asked her if she was okay and she said yes very nervously. I nodded and went into the bathroom and I smelled the worst smell in my life, tea. So I grabbed Febreze and sprayed using the whole bottle and she came into the bathroom and asked me what I was doing and I threw the can into the shower and I said nothing and we haven't talked about it since. In first grade me and this girl were having a sleepover and she suggested we practice kissing, so I went along with it. First it was just a peck, then we ended up using tongue and even biting lips, then we decided to take off our shirts and make out in my closet face with wide open eyes and flushed cheeks. And we also did that under my blankets without the shirts, but we still acted normal after this event, and then when it gets brought up years later we both agree this is never to be mentioned.
When I was in 7th grade I was taking state testing. 1 hour into taking the test my stomach started to hurt so bad. This is the worst stomach pain I've ever felt in my life. All of a sudden my pants filled up with the creamiest shit on God's earth. My crush at the time, who was sitting behind me, smelled it and gagged. He tapped me on the shoulder and told me he could see poop coming out of my pants. He got up and told the teacher and she escorted me out of the room while everyone watched. I had to finish my tests, so the nurse gave me a diaper and a pair of pink leggings that didn't fit. When I went back in the room everyone could see that I was wearing a diaper because the leggings were see-through. For the rest of the year I had 7th graders making fun of me. On my birthday in 8th grade a group of popular kids gave me a pack of diapers. I'm 17 now and still mortified. 5th grade was the first year of middle school for me. So when I was literally 10 years old I went to the bathroom at school. When I walked in I saw 2 8th graders have hardcore sex on the bathroom floor. They got so mad at me for walking in on them. 10-year-old me was terrified. Thank you so much for watching Base. I'm banned from DMing but I can still read your stories. Also thank y'all so much for 12K, I love you. One time when I was in 3rd grade I got a 100 on my history test. Since history was the last period my teacher said to stay after, so I stayed after. When everyone was gone he said since I got a 100 I got a reward. Then he unzipped his pants and showed me his dick and said to touch it and suck it. I was scared so I ran out the door into the office. He got fired. Thanks for watching Base. I love you all so much.
So one time me and my friend wanted ice cream, and it was all we could think about for hours. Both of us didn't have licenses and no one would agree to take us to the ice cream store, so we decided to steal my mom's car and go get ice cream. We were 15 at the time and had never driven before. On our way back we got pulled over a couple blocks before my house. The officer came up to us and asked to see my license. Obviously I didn't have a license so I panicked. Threw my ice cream in his face and starting speeding home. Long story short, I took the license plate off my mom's car so the cop couldn't find me, and there has been a warrant out for my arrest ever since. Thank you for your submission. I'm not taking direct messages from TikTok anymore, so if you would like to submit a story, please message me on Instagram. My ad is in my bio, and before you submit your story please look through the requirements. So basically when I was in 8th grade, I was given the opportunity to help decorate for the 8th grade formal. This boy kept putting tape in my hair so I threw scissors at him, and the scissors got stuck in the cafeteria wall. My ex-friend told on me and I found out it was her, and a few days prior I let her cheat on my phone for the Spanish exam. I told the teacher that she cheated and showed her the receipts and the teacher failed her. And now she's behind everyone in Spanish. Thank you for your submissions. So when I was younger, one of my best friends broke her arm, and everyone was giving her so much attention because no one at our school had ever broken their arm before, so me being the attention whore I wanted to break my arm. So I hit my arm on the table really hard, but it still didn't break, so I hit it again and then it broke and I was crying. My mom came in my room and I told her I broke my arm. She didn't believe me and just got me an ice pack. The next couple of days I kept complaining to her to go to the hospital, like bitch I didn't go through all this pain for nothing, so she finally took me to the hospital, and the doctors put a cast on me. When I got to school, no one seemed to care that I broke my arm, and it was really hard to do anything. Long story short, don't break your arm on purpose. Thank you for your submission. I'm not taking TikTok DMs anymore, so please DM me on Instagram. My ad is in my bio. Please read the requirements before submitting a story. When I was little I used to think that if you slept in the same bed as a boy you would get pregnant. Well, one day my cousin came over and we were going to have a sleepover. When it was time to go to bed, we slept in the same bed. I woke up the next morning crying because I thought that my cousin got me pregnant, so I just accepted my fate and started planning baby names. A few months later I told my mom that I slept with my cousin and that he got me pregnant. My mom had to explain to me what sex was. I still see that cousin every few months. Thank you for your submission. I'm not taking TikTok DMs anymore, so please DM me on Instagram. My ad is in my bio. Please read the requirements before submitting a story. Sorry I'm using the same clip as last video, but I can't really play right now, so you are just going to have to deal with it. So one time I was having my birthday at my house and we were all in a vampire phase for some reason. Like we thought we were vampires, and so I was with one of my friends and she was pissed at me for being a vampire, so she took me to the side of my house so no one could see us and she stabbed me with a piece of wood and I was just crying a lot. And then my other friends saw and then told my mom, and then we just continued my birthday like nothing happened. Please DM me your stories. So when I was 15 I got stuck at the movies with my 3 friends. It was like 12 a.m. and the movie had been over for a good 2 hours. We had no ride home and my stupid phone wouldn't turn on because it was dead. My friend had to call her friend who was 22 at the time. She showed up at the movies and she was absolutely wasted. So my friend who didn't have a license started driving. They all thought it was a good idea to go to the beach at 1 in the fucking morning. I didn't wanna go, but my fucking bitch phone wouldn't work, so I thought why not. We got ice cream from McDonald's, then we were pulling on the highway. We got pulled over for I don't even know what. Me and my friend who was 16 started freaking out thinking we were gonna be in the motherfucking newspaper. I had to call my mom since I was underage, and so did my friend who was 16. The cop ended up taking us back to our houses. Hey, so when I was in middle school, I would hyper-focus on the movie Mean Girls and I really started to convince myself that I was that bitch Regina George. I grew up in a white-ass ugly town and I was really the only one with super curly hair. People would make fun of it, so I started to straighten it, and consequently it got a lot of heat damage. I started to get tired of the bullshit, so one day out of pure jealousy, I decided to start a rumor that this one white girl with long straight healthy ass hair had alopecia and wore a wig. Everyone, even my best friends, thought it was true and a lot of other people really believed it. I would walk up to people, point at her and say, "You know her hair is fake, right? She's really bald under there." And then just walk away. This girl is now a Trump supporter who doesn't support Black Lives Matter, so I am not really sorry. It was still fucked up of me, but I was like 12, laugh out loud. So my entire life I've always hated my body. I would always put off eating healthy and eventually I just developed an eating disorder. And then I started dropping weight. I was miserable and I wouldn't spend any time around my family. So my mom told me that I was skinnier, and in that moment I couldn't tell her that I had an eating disorder. So I told her it was stomach pain. So she took me to all the best doctors and they did so many tests. And when they didn't find anything, my mom demanded I would get a colonoscopy, where they stick a scope up your butt and look through your bowels and intestines, and they found colon cancer.
So when I was in middle school, I had this one friend Chelsea who for some reason always tried to get me a boyfriend. Like any boy I talked to, she would try to set me and him up on a date. Well, one day this boy messaged me on Instagram. And we started talking. We would talk for hours and I started to develop feelings for him. I told him that I liked him and he said that he liked me back. And we started dating. I really wanted to meet up with him. And I knew that he lived close because he told me where he lived. So I asked him if we could meet up. He said yes and I was so happy. I started getting ready and then he canceled. I was really sad but thought that we could always meet up another time. Well, every time I tried meeting up with him he would always make up another excuse. I was starting to get suspicious, so I reverse searched the images he was using and he wasn't a catfish, but I kinda was starting to feel like it was my friend Chelsea, so I made a plan that I was going to check her phone. So I came over to her house and checked her Instagram, and turns out she had hacked one of her friends from another school, and so I could.
One time when I was like 5, I went to the store after school with my mom and she said I could stay in the car. For some reason I had this thing where I was so scared of people walking by, so I would literally lay on the floor so they didn't see me. I was with my dog and our windows were down and 2 ladies came up and said, "Oh, look at that dog," and then saw the top of my head and said, "Look, there's another in the back." I wanted to play along so they would go away, so I viciously barked and growled, but unfortunately that didn't nothing but grab more of their attention. Next, I guess the bean wrap I ate earlier wanted to put on a concert because suddenly my butt cheeks began to vibrate and a fart came out. One lady said that my fart smelled like cashews. They started laughing and walked off, but just then my mom got back and she made me help her with the bag, so the ladies saw me reveal myself as a human and, in fact, not a dog. I will never think of cashews this